Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, for the old fan, the new fan, and the UK fan. We have our fourth episode of the Future of the Franchise series that is on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Had a lot of people giving us feedback on it so far. Really proud of it. We've got over 150 views on all of our videos of the franchise, Future of the Franchise series so far on YouTube. So I really appreciate everyone watching and sharing it and subscribing to our podcast and to our new YouTube channel as well. But this week we are running a competition that will end this Sunday for the Steve Rains Bowl, which is a fantastic fantasy football tournament that is done later in the year, dedicated to the late Steve Rains, a friend to a lot of NFL UK community out there. So remember to subscribe to our channel and comment below on the Twitter competition and on the Twitter post competition that I have on there. Going to re-upload it throughout the week for people to try and get that. And we're going to put everyone's name into a pot, pick a winner, and you'll be entered into the Steve Rains Bowl and be able to become the champion of a fantastic fantasy football tournament that is sponsored by King's Fantasy Sports. So lots of fun doing that. Get to meet more NFL UK people within the community, and it should be a lot of fun. But on to the episode. So we have Liam with us today, joining us, as you can tell from his really very red, very prominent Falcon on the front there from the Atlanta Falcons, his contributor for the ATL Falcons UK channel on their podcast, on their YouTube. Here to talk to us about Kyle Pitts at the pick at number 4. Liam, it's been a bit of a crazy year so far. This week we're finally getting into back some normality. We're allowed to go into pubs again and things like that. How's everything been for you this week, my friend?
Yeah, all been good. I'm very much looking forward to the pubs fully reopening and get myself out there. It's going to feel weird just going inside one after so long, but can't wait.
Have you not made it into one yet?
No, not even made it into one yet. Not even. I didn't even bother going to do it at the outside area. I just thought I'm just going to wait. As soon as it's all good and proper, I'm on it. So that's what I'm doing.
Waiting for that moment where you can see Falcons on a big projector in a sports bar or a football bar of some sort, or even at home, I suppose. You just watch a projector at home.
I need the drink to get me through that one.
That's for all NFL UK fans, not just Atlanta fans. Don't worry about that, my man. Brilliant. So let's get us talking about Kyle Pitts. And it's obviously a very hot prospect coming into the draft. A lot of people saying outside of Trevor Lawrence, this guy was the most sure pick talent of the whole draft. And it was debated a lot whether he would go in the top 5 or the top 10. And any team that was going to get him was going to be picking an absolute stud of a player. So what was your reaction when Kyle Pitts' name was announced? And also as well, lots of rumor around the Falcons actually wanting to trade the pick. So what were your thoughts on the Kyle Pitts pick first, and then also about the trade rumors of that pick?
Yeah, in terms of the pick itself, I mean, for me, for sort of the couple of months leading up to draft, it was the pick I expected us to take. The GM Terry was basically spouting that we would be looking at best player available, and that's his sort of approach and things. And there's obviously the whole QB rumors, whether we'd take a QB at this point, but a lot of people still believe in Matt Ryan, at least for the next few years. So as soon as that rumor sort of died down, it kind of all went towards Kyle Pitts. There wasn't really many other options in terms of players at 4 for us. I mean, the guy, everyone knows his reputation and what he's sort of bringing with him. And I know, like you said, we didn't know whether he'd drop out of the top 5, maybe top 10. Yes, he is listed as a tight end, but the likelihood is anybody that was after a top receiver would have taken him probably first, even above the other receivers on the board, just because of the versatility he brings as a receiver and as a tight end. So my reaction on the night was expected, and I was happy with it. It doesn't really address a need for the Falcons, but you're getting what is likely a very top prospect. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't succeed in the NFL. Whether he lives up to the hype that he's bringing with him, I don't know, but I think he will be a very good player for us. And I think the general consensus of the Falcons fan base was that they were happy with that pick.
Did you see much of him in college?
Yeah, I watched quite a lot of him, and he was just dominant in a lot of games. And the amount of that he can bring, lining up inside, lining up outside, he was just so dynamic. And I'll, don't really like to slide the plays, but I'm not a big Kyle Trask fan. I don't think he's a very good quarterback, to be honest. And I think a lot of the time Pitts was making him look good, and that took some doing for me. You threw a lot of high balls, low balls completely out of side of somebody's normal range, but Pitts was able to bring him in, and Matt Ryan's a lot better quarterback than Kyle Trask is for me. So bring a bit of accuracy to it, and he's going to get even better.
Yeah, I mean, he did seem very impressive, like during his time at Florida. I mean, like you say, the quarterback that he had there, maybe not as good as what he's going to get. And, Ryan is someone who's kind of underrated to a certain extent. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And you sort of feel like he's definitely, having someone of Ryan's ability there is only going to make Pitts get better and better through time.
Yeah, I would hope so, yeah.
I was one of them guys, unfortunately, for a couple of weeks before the draft that was banging the table for maybe you should go for a quarterback here. Only 2 years left, paying him a lot of money. You could save yourself some money. I do agree with Adam that Matt Ryan is somewhat underrated. I think everyone knows what his talent is. I think it's not particularly flashy like other quarterbacks. Yeah. Oh, he's very solid, like his nickname is, the Iceman. It's not. It's like ice, I suppose. It's not all that amazing. It's it's a bit of an odd one to go next to. But there was no doubt in your mind then that quarterback would be an option.
There was at one point. There was. Then we restructured Ryan to save a bit of money there, and just it all sort of started going towards the comments that were coming out of the team were that they believed in Ryan. I think we always knew that they believed in him for at least 1 year, but we were never really sure about how much further he would go. But there's no real reason to believe that he's going to drop off significantly. I mean, he didn't have a bad year last year. The team was obviously bad overall, but certainly Ryan wasn't a major factor in our issues. So he's never really been a mobile quarterback, so it's not like he's slowing down from that sense. He's still got the accuracy. His arm's still there, so there's no reason to say he's going to drop off. For me, in terms of the quarterback situation, if you're going to take a guy as high as 4, I wouldn't have liked to have seen that guy sit for more than a year. I think you want to sit maybe for a year and then you've got to be chucking him in year 2. But I think Matt Ryan's got more to give than that. Yes, he's costing us a lot of money, but we were certainly I was in the idea of that if we took a quarterback at 4, that automatically for us said that we're now rebuilding. Like, we don't believe that we're going to go anywhere this season. We're rebuilding and we're planning for the future. But if we didn't take a quarterback, which obviously we ended up not doing, that for me says we're still in win now mode, and he wants to get something over these next 2-3 years with Ryan at the helm. And that for me said, well, let's go and get another top receiver in Pitts and just load that offense.
I mean, as we've all said, it's we think that Pitts is going to be great in the NFL and he's going to really come out and show what he can do. But do you think that, you've got Arthur Smith, his first head coaching gig, do you think that he's going to be the guy to sort of develop him and turn him into like this real top end tight end?
Yes and no. Everybody says yes straight away because Smith was the tight ends coach at Tennessee for 4 years. He knows tight ends. He knows how to get the best out of tight ends, and he was one of the best at it in Tennessee. He likes 2 tight end sets, and basically he knew how to get the best out of them. But the flip side of that is that was using your more traditional tight ends. You had Johnny Smith was his main sort of tight end there. He would use him more ball in hand, a lot more short routes, and let John Smith just run with the ball.
Yeah.
Nothing downfield. While Kyle Pitts isn't really that type of player. He can sort of do that because he has got decent speed, but his acceleration isn't really there compared to maybe some players. But downfield, once he gets going, he's a dominant style player, and that for me is not your prototypical tight end. That's more of a receiver. So that would automatically say that maybe Matt Arthur Smith isn't the best to get it out of him. But I don't think he needs that much coaching. I mean, he just needs some guidance. All the tools are there for me for what he can do, and he can pretty much bring everything. and just learning from the players that are also going to be there, not just Smith, learning from the likes of Julio. I mean, what better player to learn from than Julio if he's still there, which we're all hoping he is. He's another obviously tall, rangy, quick receiver type who you can imagine how much you could learn from Julio in a week, never mind spending a season or two with him. So that's only going to benefit Kyle Pitts for me.
Well, he also had Delaney Walker as well, didn't he, over in Tennessee, Arthur Smith? And he was, I mean, I know he's the old age and he's not there anymore, but he was pretty decent for Tennessee for a fair while. I mean, I've got some of the stats down here for last year. The Titans were fourth in scoring, total scoring in the league. They were second in rushing yards per game, obviously with Derrick Henry, and third in total yards per game. So Arthur Smith is also his first head coaching job. So it's going to be a new head coach in a franchise that I wouldn't say they're unstable. They're just not. They're a stable enough franchise. They're just not winning, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a hard gig to turn around on the defensive side of things anyway. But you're right. I think with him being the tight ends coach in Tennessee and knowing so much about it and working with some very capable tight ends already in Delaney Walker and Jonnu Smith, he's more than likely going to get the best out of Pitts. And it must really excite him to be able to have a tight end who's not only big and strong, but is also so quick at getting down the field. What would you say was your I've completely gone blank of the word that I was thinking of. What would you say most impressed you at Florida with Kyle Pitts? Like, obviously he's an all-round great player, but was there anything specifically you watched where you were like, God, like that's going to be so good for the Atlanta Falcons offense? That's something that we don't have at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, there's several things. His quickness off the line is something that's just incredibly impressive, and his body movement is just something that you don't really see in a tight end. Like he can really go past the guy with relative ease, and for someone who's 6'6" and 17 odd stone, whatever he is, you just don't see it very often, and it's just a physical trait that he's just bringing with him that is just pretty much out of this world in terms of what he can do. So like I said earlier, his catch radius is incredibly impressive. He didn't drop a single pass in 2020, and some of those passes were all over the shop, high, low, everywhere. Didn't drop a single one. I think his average yards per catch was something like 17 point something, and which is just ridiculously high for a tight end. It's receiver like. I think something like 40 of his 53 receptions or something went for a first down or a touchdown.
Liam, you are smashing stats out the park here, man. Like, you are hitting these 17.7 yards per game. Like, God, you must have watched a lot of him then. You must have just really done your research, I suppose.
I'm a data analyst for my job, so stats.
Oh, right. So you've got the upper hand already on all of us NFL podcasts.
Yeah. So that side of it was just like, wow, how can this guy fail? So I did watch quite a bit of him, and he just impressed me every time. I didn't really see a weakness other than potential some durability issues. He missed 3 or 4 games across the season, a couple of knocks here and there, and he we don't know how that's going to tell in the NFL. I mean, he's going to get hit more than he was in college, likely. So just potentially some durability issues, but other than that, everything I saw of him I liked about him. And I think for me, just the quickness off the line and the pure speed and range that he's got. I think, and I've seen a lot of people, scouts, sort of say that a 50-50 ball with Kyle Pitts is more like a 70-30 in Pitts' favour, just because of his height and his catch radius is just so impressive that he can beat anybody.
So given that we can't find any weaknesses, and we think that he's going to absolutely smash it in the NFL. I mean, do you think that this is going to be the beginning of like a new style of tight end? I mean, like, because like you say, you've said before, he's very much receiver. Like the person you want to teach him what to do is Julio Jones. So, I mean, is this kind of almost like the future? I
would say that the tight end position has been moving towards more, they are more possession style receivers than blockers now.
Yeah.
And they are becoming more athletic and more dynamic over the years. Whether or not we're going to see a lot of Kyle Pitts over the next few years. I'm not sure, because I think he is quite a rare prospect that's listed at tight end anyway, because his physical attributes are way beyond anything I've seen from a tight end. Outside of players like maybe think OJ Howard and stuff were touted as this style of player, but they never quite had what he's got. But on the flip side, if he's sort of a brand new style tight end to the NFL, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to succeed. I struggle to see how people are going to stop him, but we don't know. There might be a way of doing it. We'll wait and sort of see sort of the first sort of 5 games of this season. I think we'll start telling about how much teams are struggling with him. So if he goes and dominates those games, it's going to be very difficult to find out how to stop him for me.
Well, he's described, isn't he? He's a versatile weapon. I mean, any player that's called a weapon that's never even played a game in the NFL is going to be a pretty special talent. I mean, I said he was the only player outside of Trevor Lawrence that everyone was like, well, this guy's going to succeed in the NFL. And I'm really happy that he's gone to Atlanta, because like you said, learning people like Julio Jones, you got people like Calvin Ridley there. Matt Ryan is just going to do so much for him. But this is where I'm the negative Nelly on it. And I don't want to be negative, but I'm going to bring the mood down just a little bit. Your defense is trash.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest with ourselves here, Liam. The defense is not good here, buddy. And I know we said at the start, there was maybe rumors that you were looking to trade out of the pick. I thought as soon as I heard that, Atlanta's going to ask for too much. And the teams that maybe want to get into Atlanta's position was like Carolina, and they're not going to trade with Carolina, for example. So I thought Denver was maybe another one, maybe, but I didn't think Denver was keen enough to go and get a quarterback or anything like that. But the defense last year, I mean, the first being the worst of total yards, 4,697. You're third in touchdowns allowed, 34, 23rd in sacks, and 10th in pressures. So 10th in pressure is pretty good. You're getting the pressure. You just weren't getting to the quarterback or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was, I know, like going at 4, but you had Patrick Surtain, JC Horn, Michael Parsons, any of the edge. You had any defensive player available. And I'm not saying they should have been taken at 4, but should they really? Because it feels like the Falcons' problem is not the weapons they have. We've been talking a lot about them. It's this defense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if we did do the trade down, I would have been looking at a defensive player. We were only really thinking about Denver as the possible option for that. And I did believe that they would want to come and get a quarterback at one point, but then when they traded for Bridgewater, that became less likely. I believe we did get offers for that pick. I don't know exactly what they were and how much value they were offering, but the 49ers were another one that we anticipated could come for the pick before they obviously traded to 3. So that as soon as they were off the table, we just looked at Denver and thought, well, maybe they will. But then as soon as they sort of brought Bridgewater in, it thought, well, maybe that's not going to happen either. Then all of a sudden, it just ended up in a position where there just wasn't the value for a trade down that we could see. Then you look at who was defensively available on the board at 4. And whilst there were some good corners, I think the corner situation was pretty, not stacked, but there was a good few options that we could have got lower down. So it was anybody at 4 would have been quite a big reach for me in the corner position. Certainly wasn't an edge rusher you'd even look at in the top 10, 15 picks for me. It just wasn't there. And it was disappointing for our sense because, we knew what we needed, and really we need that edge rusher, that killer edge rusher, but it just didn't fall for us this year. Like a Chase Young or whatever, it just wasn't there. And we can look at the corners and you can reach for corners, but Atlanta's got a history of reaching for players for positional needs. We've done it in the last several drafts. We've just completely gone for a player that we need positionally and ended up sometimes working out, sometimes it didn't. And the new approach this year was just take the best player, whether it's offense, whether it's defense, and we ended up going for an offensive guy. And, we have addressed the defense further down in the draft a little bit. We don't know how good they're going to be, but we have attempted to address it. And for me, the key change for us this year is that we got Dean Pease as our defensive coordinator. and he brings a completely different style than we've had certainly in recent years. He opens up other players to be blitzers. His style is going to be very much that we're going to rush from different angles. We're not going to need, hopefully, that prototypical edge rusher. We're just going to be bringing the heat from all sorts of different places. And we've got linebackers and safeties who can do that. So hopefully that's going to address our issues a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I don't think anybody's confident in the defense this year. But I think we only need to get to your average mid-level defense to be successful, because if the offense is as good as it could be, we don't need a top-rated defense. We just need a middle ground, solid enough to keep us in, games and to keep us from blowing leads, as you know we very much like to do.
We won't mention Dallas. Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, everyone does. I'm used to that. But I guess the plan is to keep the points down to as low as we possibly can, but just outscore everybody. And it might not go to plan, but if it works, it's going to be pretty exciting.
So I was just going to ask you, do you think that the sort of like the attitude is very much we're going to score more than you? Because, Kyle Pitts is going to improve that offense no end, but also, like we've just said, the defense hasn't necessarily been improved to an incredibly high standard. So, is that the plan?
I think it's going to be, yeah. I think we're just going to plan out. I think we know we're going to ship some points again. Hopefully not to the degree that we were last year, but with a smallish improvement on the defense and another improvement on the offense, that could be enough for us, because we were very much a nearly team last season. We had a horrendous record, but in terms of game by game, we very rarely got blown out. We were always nearly there, and as I said, we're ahead in a lot of games until the fourth quarter, and it could have gone very differently for us. And the small swing on either side of the ball could be just what we need to turn this around and have a very positive season. I don't think we're going to be, we're walking too far ahead, and maybe early rounds of the playoffs at best. But that's a big huge swing compared to the previous season. So I'd be very, very happy with that. And everybody likes offense. We know defense is very important and it wins championships and everything, but everybody likes watching the offense. And if we've just stacked it to the high heavens in terms of the players we've now got available to us. So I'm hoping, we could just go and outscore everybody. That's the plan.
He's the most exciting, he's the player that I'm probably most excited about to see actually play outside of my own big Najee Harris. I've got the sneaky Steelers t-shirt behind my shirt here, but outside of Najee Harris, he probably is one of the most exciting players that I am wanting to see. And weirdly enough, you're going to get an opportunity to go and see it. So how happy were you with the announcement about Atlanta's going to be playing in Tottenham this year? And I know it's not a nail-biting fun game against the Jets, but any time that your team comes over to the UK, it's pretty excited, right?
Yeah. We're me personally and the whole sort of UK Falcons group is incredibly excited. We've all booked hotels, so we're all very much looking forward to it. Obviously, we're hoping that we can get tickets. We don't know what the situation is exactly yet. We're going to do everything we can to get tickets. So I went back to watch the Falcons in 2014 when they came over. Don't know if you remember the game, but it was pretty traumatic. They lost to the Lions in the last second to do a retake and field goal.
I feel like that might have been before I started going to them. Maybe.
Yeah, they missed the Lions missed the field goal and then basically got the opportunity to retook it, and then scored it, and then we lost. We were even blowing.
It's a shame we haven't got Andrew here. Andrew, who's usually our fellow host, he's been to every single UK game since they've started. He's only missed like one,
which I forget that one.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah, he definitely hasn't. Unless he goes like, actually, that was the one I missed. Like the most tragic one to miss. It wasn't like a random Jags game where they got blown out or whatever. It was like that game.
The fourth quarter finish. Yeah, we're very excited. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is a very exciting player. We're very. What I'm most interested to see about Pitts is how defensive coordinators address what he brings. It'd be interesting to sort of hear your view on it. So who'd you put on him in terms of position wise? Like who'd you actually put on somebody like that? Because he's too quick for any linebacker in the league, really. And then you can put a corner on him if he lines up outside, and the fact is he's too tall and too physical for any corner in the league. So you can look at putting safeties on him, which people have tried, but still he's probably going to be too dominant for more safeties in this league. I know earlier on in the Florida's season when they played South Carolina, he lined up on a couple of occasions against J.C. Horn on the outside. And J.C. Horn was impressive in the fact that he tracked Kyle Pitts. Like, he was quick enough to track Kyle Pitts. He was always with him. But every ball that went to Kyle Pitts was still caught because he was too big. He just dominated him physically, and he just could go too high that J.C. Horn just couldn't get anywhere near him. And I don't see that changing in the NFL. Obviously, there's going to be better corners than J.C. Horn who are far more experienced. But from a physical standpoint, how do you stop that guy? And that's what I'm interested to see.
How did he do it? Sorry, Adam. How did he do against? Was it Tyson Campbell at Georgia? I was watching some of the highlights earlier, and it seemed like he was overpowering him as well. Was it just the case in college that every corner just couldn't?
Yeah, Pitts went off in that game against Georgia. I think that's where he got his injury to his nose. I think he broke his nose in that game. But before that, yeah, Campbell's a pretty rangy corner, and he's he was obviously one of the top prospects, and he was taken as one. And I think he's did he go early second? I think at the end, the first pick of the second, I think, something like that.
I think he went to Jags first pick of the second, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so he was again. It's not that he didn't have the skills to match up with somebody like Pitts in terms of a speed or he had most things he need. You just sometimes the guy's too tall. When a guy is 6'6" and the ball's going up high, you just can't get there. He's too physically dominant. So I don't see how a corner can just develop anything that can stop him. There might be ways of bumping him around a little bit and doing something like that. But at the end of the day, Kyle Pitts is going to be learning all of the time, and he's going to eventually, we hope, able to address anybody doing those sort of tactics. So I'd be very, very interested game by game to see who they're putting on him, because the situation at Atlanta is you can put guys on Kyle Pitts, which he's fine. Then you've got Calvin Ridley, who this year and pretty much last year he's now our number one receiver. He's obviously an incredible route runner, and you almost want to put your top corner on him because you want to shut him down because he's incredible ball in hand. And then obviously on the other side, if he's healthy and still here, you've still got Julio. And a healthy Julio is still right up there in the top receivers in this league. And you don't want your second corner on Julio Jones because he is just going to rip him apart. And that then leaves Kyle Pitts. And we've got Russell Gage as well, who was another standout player last year. He's been developing nicely for us, and he gives us he's Matt Ryan's sort of favourite third down target.
Still got Hayden Hurst as well, haven't you?
Hayden Hurst as well, who's obviously another very good tight end. We didn't take his 5th year option, but he's still potentially got time in to prove himself. He's probably more of your ball in hand, speedy receiver, your more Jonnu Smith type. And if you're looking at all these other guys and you've got Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst on the field at the same time, which is likely to happen for us with the way that Arthur Smith plays the game, Hurst could be wide open, and he's fast. He's really fast. Once he gets going, he's really hard to stop. So we're a matchup nightmare when you look at it like that. But like you said, it's going to come down to, can we do enough on the other side of the ball to allow the offense to do what it's going to do. We hope it's going to do. If the answer is yes, we could be a very good team. And if the answer is no, we're probably going to be pretty mediocre.
Yeah, to me, I think a lot of it depends on Julio. If he's there, that's the sort of the key of it, because, most teams have got 2 okay corners, really. But if you've got Ridley and Julio and Pitts, that's when it becomes a massive problem for any defense. So I think that's going to be the issue. The one thing that we do know is at least your games will be very exciting this year.
Yes, it should be a very good team to watch. No, what you said there is 100% correct. You take Julio out of that, and the whole dynamic changes. It's no longer as dominant as it could be. He's a massive part of it on the field because of what he can bring, and he's a massive part of it off the field for players like Pitts and players like Ridley still to be learning from. Everyone calls him Coach Julio at Atlanta because when he's not playing, which happens too often now, he's always on that sideline barking orders, he really knows the game inside and out, and you're going to listen to Julio, so he's incredibly valuable to us. But if he's on the field and playing well, it's going to be pretty impressive. But yeah, take him out, it becomes a whole different prospect. So we're very much reliant on Julio staying and at least being healthy for a good chunk of the season.
Well, you heard it here first. Atlanta Falcons, the most exciting team to watch in the 2021 season. Don't turn off your screen, because when the Falcons are playing, it's going to be big scores. Liam, Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Where can we find your social media stuff? Where can we find your stuff that you do for the ATL Falcons UK, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'll promote the ATL Falcons because they're the main base. So it's ATL Falcons UK. They cover obviously Falcons stuff, but also just general NFL stuff. So it's not just for Falcons fans only. Any NFL fan can follow, and you'll probably see some content on there. There's some exciting things coming up, which I'm sure the lads will be promoting on social media soon. And just get involved. And if you are a Falcons fan, definitely join on, because we'll be planning on meeting up for the London game if we get there. So it's going to be brilliant.
Well, hopefully we will get the opportunity to see you guys there as well. I had the guys on last year to talk about the Atlanta Falcons in my summer series that we did. And that was when they just started the channel, and it's blown up so much since then. I've seen they've done some great stuff on the podcast on YouTube, got great guys like you in, and many other Atlanta Falcons fans as well. So all the Atlanta Falcons fans out there in the UK and the US international, go follow them, because you're a brilliant group of people that are doing so much for the Falcons UK community. Thank you for listening or watching on YouTube. Remember to enter the Steve Rains Bowl, subscribe to our YouTube, comment on our post, and we'll get you entered. And hopefully you'll be the one competing for the hottest fantasy football competition going in the UK this year. Until then, though, see you next week. We'll be back with 2 more Future of the Franchise episodes. Have a great week and enjoy the inside of all of them pubs. See ya.